In the heart of a sprawling valley, there lived a farmer named Elias. From sunrise to sunset, he was a whirlwind of activity. His hands were calloused, his back perpetually sore, but his fields were the greenest in the entire region. Elias believed in one simple truth: the harder you work, the more you reap. His neighbors admired his dedication, often shaking their heads in wonder as they saw him still out in the fields long after they had retired for the evening. "Elias never stops," they'd say, a mixture of respect and pity in their voices. One year, an unusually long drought settled over the valley. The sun beat down relentlessly, and the earth grew cracked and thirsty. Elias, true to his creed, worked even harder. He spent countless hours hauling buckets of water from the nearly dry river, his shoulders aching under the weight. He dug irrigation channels by hand, sweat stinging his eyes. His crops survived, but just barely. He was exhausted, his spirit as parched as the land itself. His harvest was meager, a shadow of what it used to be, and for the first time, Elias felt a flicker of doubt. Was working harder truly the only answer? Just as despair began to set in, a new family moved into the farm next door. They were a young couple, Liam and Clara, and they seemed to do things differently. Elias watched them from his porch, a curious frown on his face. They weren't out in the fields from dawn till dusk. In fact, some days, he'd see them sitting on their porch in the middle of the afternoon, reading books. Yet, their farm began to flourish, even in the midst of the drought. Their plants looked healthier than his, their leaves a vibrant, defiant green. How was this possible? Driven by a mix of frustration and intrigue, Elias finally walked over one afternoon. He found Liam not with a shovel, but with a strange contraption of pipes and small emitters. "What in the world is that?" Elias asked, gesturing to the network snaking through the vegetable beds. Liam smiled warmly. "It's a drip irrigation system," he explained. "Instead of flooding the whole field, it delivers water directly to the roots of each plant, drop by drop. We lose almost nothing to evaporation, and the plants get exactly what they need." Liam then showed Elias a chart he'd made. It tracked rainfall, soil moisture, and even the specific water needs of different crops at different growth stages. "We don't just water when the ground looks dry," Clara added, joining them. "We water when the data tells us it's the most effective time." Elias was stunned. He had spent his life relying on his eyes and his aching muscles. He had never considered using data. Over the next few weeks, Elias became a frequent visitor. He learned about crop rotation to naturally replenish the soil, saving him the back-breaking work of spreading tons of fertilizer. He learned about companion planting, where certain plants protect each other from pests, reducing the need for constant weeding and spraying. He saw them using lightweight, ergonomic tools that put less strain on the body. Liam and Clara weren't working less. They were working more intelligently. Every action was deliberate, planned, and efficient. One day, Liam pointed to a small patch of wildflowers, buzzing with bees. "We planted these specifically to attract pollinators," he said. "Better pollination means more fruit, and we don't have to do a thing." Elias thought about how he'd always seen bees as just part of the scenery, never as a workforce he could actively recruit. The real turning point came when Liam helped Elias install a simple rainwater harvesting system. They connected barrels to the gutters of his barn, collecting the precious few drops that fell. The next time a small shower passed through, Elias watched in amazement as the barrels filled up, providing a reserve of water he hadn't had to haul from the river. The energy and time it saved him was immense. It felt like magic. Humbled and inspired, Elias began to change his ways. He started small, installing a drip irrigation system in one of his most important fields. He spent his evenings not just resting his tired body, but reading, learning about soil science and sustainable farming techniques. He started a farm journal, not just to track his work, but to analyze his results. What worked? What didn't? Why? The following spring was different. Elias still woke up early, but his mornings were spent planning, not just plowing. He incorporated clover into his fields to fix nitrogen in the soil. He built trellises for his beans, making them easier to harvest and improving air circulation. He worked with a renewed sense of purpose, his mind as engaged as his body. His neighbors noticed the change. They saw Elias leave the fields earlier. They saw him spending more time with his family, even taking the occasional afternoon off to go fishing. Some of the old-timers whispered that Elias was getting lazy in his old age. But when harvest season arrived, all whispers stopped. Elias's farm produced the most abundant, healthiest crop the valley had seen in years. His barns were overflowing. He had more to sell at the market than ever before, and because his produce was of such high quality, he could command a better price. He was making more money, but more importantly, he felt better. His back didn't ache constantly. He wasn't perpetually exhausted. He had rediscovered his joy for farming. One evening, as the sun set in a blaze of orange and purple, Elias sat on his porch, a book in his lap. He looked out over his thriving fields, a deep sense of peace washing over him. Liam and Clara waved from their own porch, and he waved back, a grateful smile on his face. He had spent a lifetime believing that the sweat on his brow was the sole measure of his worth. But now he knew the truth. Hard work is honorable, it's essential, but it's smart work that truly makes the seeds of effort grow into a harvest of success. The greatest tool a farmer, or anyone for that matter, can ever cultivate is not their strength, but their mind. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content that inspires you to think differently. See you in the next one.